So I came across this story where, the 16-year-old with multiple guns shoots two younger students waiting for school. I'm going to put some more information about it in the comments and in the description. Well, first of all, let's see, how did this come to this? Why are they suppressing me when they know that I'm the most respectable person in human history with my top martial arts challenge? And we know from, the obvious, right? Bruce Lee, Chinese Connection, He-Man, Superman, Jesus is a warrior in the Bible, David, Samson, Jonathan, Joshua, Moses, killed the Egyptians, defending the Midianite women, Abraham leading natural combat campaigns. Okay, so how do we know, that it's a failure of the state to give me my rightful place, which directly results in these deaths, these shootings? People in the ghetto who are victims of these shootings, they should be able to sue the government for lots and lots of money. The government owes me lots and lots of money, and obviously I'm not concerned with money. I don't think they'll ever pay me a penny. That's not my concern here. But it emphasizes in a society that cares about money so much, the obvious. Okay, the obvious is that the state is first and foremost, right? The state and the governing class that pulls their strings, they're first and foremost responsible for these shooting deaths. It is laughable, it is sick to see a 16-year-old arrested for what the state is more responsible for. You think these people would still be shooting each other if they knew that the miracles in the Bible were just figurative, they weren't literal, that Christ is back, and that the true story is more respectable than the kind of fairy story that they presented? It's a story of Royal African Falcon martial arts and the people who lived right next to them, right, in Israel, okay, who spent time in Egypt where they were aware of Royal African Falcon martial arts, okay. It's the story of how these people stole the identity of the Royal African Falcon martial art order, made it a kind of jigsaw puzzle, and they twisted things. It's kind of like politics, right? Where some of the things they talk about are basically true in both parties, but then there's a lot of BS there. They made it a jigsaw puzzle. Say, what is the truth? The truth is a little here, a little there. It's kind of watered down here and there, and so on and so forth. And the truth is seeing what they're right about in both parties and putting it together. Okay. So, well, first of all, we got to look at the history of a Judeo-Christian nation that refuses to take responsibility for its actions. Okay. The people in the church do not worship God. No one worships God but me, and my parents are blameless. Nobody else worships God. Pay attention closely. God is in your paths. It's in your motives, right? Whatever your God is, you can't serve God and money. So if you put money first or family first, you worship something else. And if your family, like everyone's family, is a result of cultivating a satanic path, basically everyone's family is a result of cultivating a satanic path. Bear with me, okay? It's right there in the word cult and culture, and cultures, okay? Cultures is an anagram for culture, right? Anagram is one or more, is a word with one or more words scrambled into it when you rearrange the letters. So the word cultures is an anagram for culture, and they're referring to the fact that you're allowed to have your culture by the state when there's a cult that the state controls at the center of it. It's like rock and roll, right? They're obviously cult people more often than not, throwing up satanic hand signs, and they're the center of the culture, right? Corporate culture, obviously corporate greedy guys who put money first. They talk about making a killing in business, the eugenicists, and so on and so forth. Police cultures, military cultures. There's a cult, right? There's police fraternities, military fraternities. There's privileged clubs who have members in the hierarchy of the officer order, as well as the rank and file. The people who aren't that high ranking. Okay. This is the situation. Okay, so immediately when you hear this video, you know that I'm speaking the truth and everyone else is playing the game. The word game is the word mage scrambled. Okay. So on December 20th of this year, I'll have my martial art challenge will be at 9 years. Okay, people in cults have been acting like sissies about it. Remember, I have 22 witnesses. to them persecute me. They say, hey, do it in a way that doesn't favor those who are tall. If you can't outmaneuver someone taller than you, it's because of you. You see what I'm saying? There's plenty of tall and clumsy people. It doesn't favor whose people are tall. Outdoor sparring favors the person who is superior. And after I'm gone, on the highest level, right, when I'm here, it favors who's actually superior, unless they sabotage me that day or something, and they've been sabotaging me the whole time. And after I'm gone, it favors privileged scum. Okay? It's not necessarily height. They have all kinds of technology, performance-enhancing drugs. They've dumbed down people. It just simply favors privileged scum. So they cheated me out of my right to lead. They've ruined music. They've ruined, all the churches worship the devil. Okay? They've exploited the labor force. They've created all these homeless people when even inmates get 3 hots in a cot. Okay? They've done so much to society to create these violent homicides. The rule of thumb is, when you push someone over the edge, they do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Okay, the rule of thumb is when you drive someone crazy, right? It's even called drive, right? Who's in charge? Who's driving the cars, so to speak? In prison, right? Quite often they call it a car, right? You're in the black car, the gangster car, the Nazi lowrider car, right? Because somebody's driving it, right? Somebody's the shot caller or shot callers. Okay, that's the idea. That's the model from before. Okay, so who's driving them crazy? Who's taking the pilot seat? Who has the reins, right? Who's taking control? Who's in charge here anyway, right? Take me to your master, right? No servant can be greater. They're following the master. So the greater evil is the master in this case. And the greatest good, obviously, is God. And Christ means anointed. And it's a play on words for many things, okay? And it refers to Christos, right? Christos means the anointed. Christ is the anointed one. The anointed what? Well, with God's characteristics in his spirit, right? It's righteousness, justice, moral warrior spirit, being a great warrior, the almighty, truth, true love, what have you. So let's quickly, I'm going to wrap this video up because I don't want to, I want to get you to be interested in my various video series. I have video series where I prove definitively that I'm Christ. I have videos like that. Okay, ask about it in the comments. I'll direct you to those videos. What is the white man doing wrong, for example? Let's say the average conservative. Well, what does he do, right? And in these churches we have, there's liberal churches, right? God is not a liberal conservative. He despises the liberal and the conservative. They are nothing before God. They're fools. The wicked go down to the realm of the dead. All the nations that forget God. Isaiah shows us that God is going to totally devastate the earth. He says it falls in Isaiah 24 and never to rise again. Never to rise again. Okay, the kingdom of heaven does not come to earth. The earth is spiritually destroyed. It becomes the realm of the dead definitively without a single decent person is how the Bible ends. Outside the gates are the earthlings, okay, and the people who are dead in hell burning. So the walking dead, because the body without the Spirit of God is dead. So they're still alive according to the human scale, but they're dead according to God's scale. And then they die and they go to the second death, which is the lake of fire, which is eternal punishment. Okay, so what are these people doing wrong? Okay, well, first of all, there's a lot of political churches, right? LGBT, feminist, white supremacist, liberal, conservative, libertarian, right? All satanic filth that God despises. Now, a flattering tongue works ruin. Okay? Better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. A lying tongue hurts the ones they're lying to. It hurts the ones they hate. That's what it says in Proverbs. Lying tongue is hurting people. These people need to know the truth. And if it's a serious matter, should I tiptoe through the tulips and say, maybe you guys mean well? No, you don't mean well. Churches are organized satanic centers. Their congregations historically owned slaves, killed Native Americans, promoted white supremacy, always uphold the social orders of the state. That is the history of the church. It's a bunch of warring facts like Roman senators, and each of them have their own church, and they go to war with each other and say, my family, like bitches. They put their families before God and pretend to be serving God. What better way to hate your families than that? You made your families a brood of evildoers, a bunch of idolaters. So what is the white man doing wrong? Okay, first of all, who is the white man? The white man kind of is He's always the Jew, right? When we look at slavery, right, who was the Jew, who was white? Now all of them are wearing a yarmulke or something, or some clothes that identify him as Jew. The white man merged with the Jew at some point, and the Jew merged with the other races at some point, and that's a story for another day. Okay, beware of those who call themselves Jews. Israel is real, not the people who call themselves Jews, but the people who are really the children of God. That's what Jesus said in the Bible. He said, those who do the will of my Father are my family. These other guys aren't from my tribe. They're not from my family. They're not doing the will of God. They're not truly David's offspring. He said, if you were Abraham's descendants, you would do what he did. If you were David's descendants, you would give me my right to lead. If you were Abraham's descendants, you would give me my right to lead. And you wouldn't keep reproducing, because you know that you're evil. And you know the time has come where blessed are the childless women, so to speak, the breasts that never nursed and the wombs that never bore. Luke 23. So the white man goes to his church, historically. Let's go back historically. We'll make it crystal clear. A lot of people are struggling, right? Catholic, Baptist, Mormon, you name it. They go to their church, and they hear the message from the corporate state through their church. And some of them swear up and down it's not, but it is. Why isn't your church burned down? Why aren't you persecuted like they persecuted the black Christians? Why aren't you persecuted to the point where you no longer exist? How could you find your root in a world where Satan is said to be the god of this world in your book? How were you established all these years? Because you worship the fucking devil. He goes to his church. It impresses upon him a corporate state white supremacy sentiment. He goes to work, same sentiment. He goes, finds a girlfriend or something, a wife, same sentiment. Breeds a family, same sentiment. His God is the God of white supremacy, not the one true God. And if he's gay, it's the God of LGBT mixed with white supremacy. He's a token minority, that's a different story. Token minorities, their God is the God of token minorities. Anyway, so if, he doesn't obey God through me, and he goes to church, and there's only way to obey God through me is to obey God through me, not go to church. He goes to his church, he's going to worship the God of white supremacy. The God that allows him to join the military and fight wars for Satan's agenda. Allows him to play stupid, say things like, God bless our troops. Your troops worship the fucking devil. They gun people down for pedophiles and their allies in the corporate state and for their motives and their agendas. They don't fight wars for God. It's a secular state. Why? They say that it's to make it so everyone can practice their religion. Then why am I persecuted for my religion? Why were the blacks in the South persecuted? Why are people persecuted right now for their religious views? It's a secular nation, so you can make sure that people worship the devil. It's a long story why that is. So the white man's motives, his heart, where his heart is. His heart is with white supremacy, not with God. The spirit he sees in church is the spirit of white supremacy making a mock ritual of God. Hebrew is an Afro-Asiatic language. Japheth wasn't a mighty warrior before God. Nimrod, who comes from the line of Ham. Ham begot Cush, Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod founded Babylon, and he was a mighty warrior before the Lord. And the Bible calls Babylon, before it fell, the queen city of all nations. So the wife and the spirit of receiving the warrior spirit from Nimrod was the queen. Not Queen Elizabeth. Not the white man, not the queen, the entertainment group. Not the queen in your fairy tale story. Not your fairy depictions. You depict Santa Claus and the fairies and the angels the same way. Why? The Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. Because you have a white supremacist, selfish fairy tale story. And that's why those kids got shot. That's why all these people are dying. That's why 3 million children starve to death and die of hunger-related issues every year. Because the white man worships the devil, and he spread his culture to North Korea. Communism comes from the West. To China, communism comes from the West. Satan is the god of this world, and he's first and foremost the spirit of Zionism, the spirit of Judeo, white supremacy, and the LGBT community. That's why in the churches Satan is allowed, they've depicted angels as fairies. Because the devil is gay. Sodom and Gomorrah. Leviticus. Outside the gates are the sexually immoral. Those who practice falsehoods. God is the creator, and marriage has to do with creation. Why on earth would he approve of homosexuality? He doesn't. He doesn't want to see your flags on churches. You're mocking them. That's bad enough. Then you put your LGBT flags. Again, everybody's sinning. But me? You all worship the fucking